An elderly man goes up to the counter of a pawn shop. He holds an aged, weathered guitar and says to the pawnbroker, "I'd like your expert opinion on this guitar. How much do you think it's worth?" The pawnbroker scrutinizes the guitar. "Well, upon closer inspection, I can see a bit of warping in the neck. The lacquer has faded, and there are scratches and dents all over. It's an old, well-played guitar, but I don't believe it's worth more than $20. Undeterred, the old man reaches hand out and says, "Okay, if that's what you think it's worth, you have a deal." "Great," responds the pawnbroker, sealing the deal with a handshake. "Here's $20, the old man says, ready to make the purchase. The broker pauses, suddenly looking perplexed. "Wait, buy?" he asks. "Yes." The old man smiles, revealing his cleverness as he flips the guitar over. "This one has a sticker price of $150, but now that I have your honest opinion, I think $20 is a great deal." A gentleman visits a pet shop and purchases a talking parrot. Excited, he brings the parrot home with the intention of teaching it a few phrases. However, instead of learning, the parrot responds by swearing at him persistently. After enduring this for a few hours, the man reaches his limit and decides to impart a lesson by placing the parrot in the freezer. For a brief moment, the man hears the parrot squawking and kicking inside, but soon all falls silent. Opening the freezer, the man is surprised as the parrot calmly steps out onto his outstretched arm and utters, "I believe I may have offended you with my impolite language and behavior. I will strive to be nicer." The man is shocked. Just as he is about to ask about the sudden change, the parrot continues, "Can I ask what the turkey did?" One day, Einstein had to speak at an important science conference. On the way over there, Einstein tells his driver, who actually resembles him quite a bit, "I'm sick of all these conferences. I always say the same things over and over." The driver agrees. "You're right. As your driver, I attended all of them, and even though I don't know anything about science, I could give the conference in your place." "That's a great idea," says Einstein. "Let's switch places then." So they switch clothes, and as soon as they arrive, the driver dressed as Einstein goes on stage and starts giving the usual speech, while the real Einstein, dressed as the car driver, attends it. But in the crowd, there is one scientist who wants to impress everyone and thinks of a very difficult question to ask Einstein, hoping he won't be able to respond. So this guy stands up and interrupts the conference by posing his very difficult question. The whole room goes silent, holding their breath, waiting for the response. The driver looks at him, dead in the eye, and says, "Sir, your question is so easy to answer that I'm going to let my driver reply to it for me." A woman is invited over for dinner at her boyfriend's parents' house. It's the first time she meets his parent and is nervous, sitting down at the dinner table. And on the menu, it's her boyfriend mom's special dish, mac and cheese hammeroni casserole. She starts feeling a discomfort and that her stomach is bubbling. Thanks for the nervousness and the mac and cheese casserole. The gas pain's getting worse and her eyes starts to water. She is left with no choice. She needs to relieve some pressure. She let a small one rip. Everyone gets quiet around the table. Her boyfriend's dad looks at the dog who's been sleeping down by her feet and says in a stern voice, "Skippy." "Good, they think it was the dog," she thinks to herself. Couple minutes goes by and she starts to really feel the bubbling in her stomach. She need to let one out again. This time it was much louder and longer. The dad looks at the dog and yells, "Damn it, Skippy!" And once again the woman was relieved, as they seemed to blame the dog. 5 minutes later, she again, getting a bit overconfident, lets out a huge fart that could rival a foghorn. Again, the dad looks at the dog with disgust and yells, "Damn it, Skippy! Get away from her before she shits on you!" Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson goes on a camping trip. After a satisfying dinner and a bottle of wine, they call it a night and drift off to sleep. In the middle of the night, Holmes wakes up and nudges his loyal friend. "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." "I see millions and millions of stars, Holmes," replies Watson. "And what do you deduct from that?" Watson thinks for a moment. "Astronomically, it tells me there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I notice that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Meteorologically, I suspect we'll have a beautiful day tomorrow. Theologically, I see that God is all-powerful, and we are a small and insignificant part of the universe. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes is silent for a moment. "Watson, you idiot!" he yells. "Someone has stolen our tent." During the preparation for the Apollo project, some astronaut training occurred on a native Navajo reservation. One day, a native Navajo elder and his son were tending to their sheep when they encountered the space crew. The elderly man, proficient only in Navajo, posed a question that his son translated. "What are these individuals in the large suits doing?" A member of the crew explained they were practicing for their upcoming moon mission. The elder became excited and asked if he could convey a message to the moon through the astronauts. Recognizing a promotional opportunity, NASA provided a tape recorder. After recording his message, the old man's son was asked to translate, but he declined. The NASA PR team brought the tape to the reservation where the rest of the tribe listened, chuckled, and also declined to translate the elder's message. In the end, the NASA crew enlisted an official government translator. The translated message from the elderly man was, "Beware of these individuals. They have come to take away your land." A father is driving his son to his first day of school. The boy appears anxious, which his dad notices. "What's wrong, son?" Nervously, the kid asks his father, "How long do I have to stay in school?" "Until you're 18, reassures the father. The boy nodded quietly. As they reach the front of the school, he makes another request. "Daddy, can you please give a hug to my puppy from me?" "You can hug him yourself when you get home," the father replies. "Okay. Well, can you please hug mommy for me?" the boy says with teary eyes. "Son, you can hug her when you get home." Tears well up in the boy's eyes, and he started to sniffle. To comfort him, the father adds, "Don't worry so much, you'll be fine. Go on now." The boy nods and wipes his nose. "Daddy, I have one more question." "Go on," Dad says. Now clearly crying, the boy says, "Daddy, promise you will come get me when I'm 18? A young man visited the new mall in search of a job. The manager asked, "Do you have any sales experience?" The young man confidently replied, "Yeah, I was a salesman back home in Dallas." Impressed, the manager decided to hire him. The first day on the job was hectic, but the young man managed to get through it. After the store was closed, the manager approached and asked, "Okay, so how many sales did you make today?" The salesman proudly responded, "One." The manager, a bit disappointed, pressed on. "Just one? We usually average 20 or 30 sales a day here. How much was the sale for?" The young man casually said, $132,500. The manager, shocked, exclaimed, $132,500? What on earth did you sell him? The salesman nonchalantly explained, "Well, first I sold him a small fish hook, then a medium fish hook, and a fishing rod with a reel. When I asked him where he was going fishing and he mentioned the coast, I suggested he'd need a boat. So we went down to the boat department, and I sold him that twin-engine yellowfin. Then he mentioned his Kia Soul wouldn't pull it, so I took him to the car sales department and sold him the 4X4. The manager, still trying to process it, said, "Are you telling me a guy came in here to buy a fish hook, and you sold him a boat and a 4X4? The salesman corrected, "No, actually, he came in here to buy a box of tampons for his girlfriend. I told him since his weekend is pretty well screwed, he might as well go fishing." A doctor decides to have a little fun and puts up a sign in front of his clinic. "If I can cure you, I get $20. If I cannot cure you, I pay you $100. Eager to test the doctor's skills, a lawyer seizes the opportunity and visits the clinic. "Doc, I can't taste anything anymore. Please cure me," the lawyer explains. The doctor instructs his nurse to fetch medicine from drawer 32. The lawyer takes a spoonful, gasps, and spits it out, exclaiming, "This is gasoline." Smiling, the doctor responds, "Good, you can now taste again. That will be $20. The lawyer begrudgingly pays and leaves, feeling frustrated. Determined, the lawyer returns the next day, seeking help for memory loss. The doctor, unfazed, directs the nurse to get medicine from drawer 32. The lawyer protests, "That's the same stuff you gave me last time." The doctor casually remarks, "Memory fixed. $20, please." The lawyer storms off, dissatisfied. Undeterred, the lawyer returns with a new plan. This time he claims to be blind, hoping to outsmart the doctor. "I'm sorry, I won't be able to cure that. Here's your $100, the doctor states, handing the lawyer a $5 bill. Indignant, the lawyer protests, "Wait a second, this is $5, not a $100. The doctor calmly responds, "Oh, I see. Blindness cured. That's $20, please." The lawyer, defeated once again, reluctantly hands over the money. A federal agent enters a farm and tells the farmer, "FBI agent Hudson, I'm here to inspect your farm for illegal drug crops." The old rancher responds, "I see, but I warn you, don't go in that field over there." The agent turns and sternly says to the rancher, "Sir, I have the full authority of the federal government with me." Reaching into his rear pants pocket and pulling out his badge, he proudly displays it to the farmer. "See this badge? Do you know what it means? I am allowed to go wherever I wish on your land, no questions asked. Have I made myself clear?" The old rancher nods politely and continues with his chores. Later, he hears loud screams, spots the agent running for his life with the rancher's bull hot on his heels. The bull is steadily gaining ground, and the agent is clearly terrified. The old rancher throws down his tools, rushes to the fence, and yells at the top of his lungs, "Show him your badge! Show him your badge!"